Just over a week ago, Durk was arrested on accusations that he plotted a revenge hit against fellow rapper Quando Rondo. And this all goes back to the 2020 shooting of King Von, one of Durk's closest friends, which set off a chain of events that no one could have saw coming. The feds are claiming that Lil Durk, along with his crew from Only the Family or OTF, came up with this plan, a conspiracy that ended in the 2022 murder of Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pab, at a gas station in LA. They're saying that Durk offered cash incentives and even career advancement opportunities to anyone in his circle that was willing to take part in this plot. If convicted, he and the 5 others that were arrested could face life in prison or even the death penalty for their roles in this plot. It's a massive turn for someone who is at the top of their game, and it's left people wondering if Durk is gonna be able to escape with his freedom intact. So today, let's talk about Lil Durk and this whole situation to try to figure out what all happened and where things go from here.
Chicago rapper Lil Durk is in police custody this morning.
And he was allegedly involved in a murder-for-hire plot.
Local rapper and Grammy winner Lil Durk is being held behind bars in South Florida, charged in a murder-for-hire plot back in 2022.
The FBI says he was arrested while trying to flee the country.
October 24th, 2024. This is the date that could change Lil Durk's life for forever, as it's the day that federal agents arrested him in Florida, slapping him with charges that go beyond the usual music world controversies that we hear about. The names of the other people arrested for this are Kevon London Grant, aka Cuz or Vonnie, DeAndre Dontrell Williams, aka Didi, Keith Jones, aka Flocka, David Brian Lindsay, aka Brown Eyes, and Asa Houston, aka Boogie. According to court documents, this entire thing started after the death of King Von in Atlanta, after him and Quando Rondo got into their now infamous fight that led to King Von being shot. While fans on the internet were claiming that Durk needed to slide for Von and at the same time never would, it seems that in reality, Durk was willing to do whatever to get his get back. In these court documents, it states clearly that almost as soon as this all went down, co-conspirator number 1, who the court documents identify as Durk, said in coded language that he would pay a bounty or give monetary reward or make a payment to anyone who would take part in killing a man the court documents calls TB, which stands for Taquan Bowman, Quando Rondo's real name. OTF Didi, who they call by his last name Wilson in these documents, doubled down on that statement by saying that he would also offer anyone involved with lucrative music opportunities with OTF, as well as whatever Durk paid out. Over 2 years after that, and it was time for them to put that plan into motion, OTF Didi recruited 2 Chicago gang members that were unaffiliated with OTF, named Brown Eyes, aka David Lindsay, and Flocka, also known as Keith Jones, and he hired them to help facilitate the hit after they learned that Quando Rondo was going to be in LA. A man only referred to as co-conspirator number 3 purchased tickets for flights from Chicago to San Diego, where they would land and then drive to Los Angeles. In order to get tickets for these guys, he had OTF Didi send him pictures of Brown Eyes and Flocka's real names, their date of birth, and a photocopy of each of their IDs. A message that was sent from Lil Durk, co-conspirator 1, to co-conspirator number 3, who remains unnamed, said, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." But to make it even worse, the flights did end up being booked using an OTF company credit card that was registered to Durk and his old manager at the time, Ola Ali Bugan, who the court documents refer to as OA. Once these tickets were purchased, OTF Didi texted a friend on Instagram saying that he was on his way to LA, and him, Flocka, Brown Eyes, Asa Houston, aka Boogie, and a man only identified as co-conspirator number 3 flew from Chicago to San Diego using the tickets that were purchased with the OTF company credit card. OTF Vonnie and Lil Durk flew via private jet the exact same night from Chicago to LA. Vonnie would procure cars, 4 black ski masks from a local sporting goods store, and even some guns that he would then give to the other co-conspirators to use in order to find, track, and kill Quando Rondo. Once Didi and his team landed in San Diego, they would travel to LA County, where Vonnie would book a room at the Universal City Hotel, again using an OTF company credit card. And it's here that he would provide the others with the ski mask, the guns, and the 2 cars, a white BMW from a rental company and a white Infiniti with fake license plates on it. The same night, they would travel to a hotel that they thought Quando Rondo was staying at with the intention of executing their plan or plotting their plan. They didn't strike at that moment though. Instead, they identified his vehicle, which was a black Escalade. It wasn't until the next day that they followed the Escalade around town to a dispensary, then to a clothing store, and the police even have surveillance footage showing both cars tailing the black Cadillac Escalade. While following behind the SUV, it would pull into a gas station on Beverly Boulevard next to the Beverly Center in an upscale part of the city. It was at this moment that the OTF gang members decided it was time to strike. Boogie, who was driving the Infiniti, parked in an alley behind the gas station, while Flocka, Brown Eyes, and co-conspirator number 2 hopped out and did what they did. Inside of the car was Quando and his sister, while Pab stood outside the car pumping gas as shots rang out. When the smoke cleared, Pab was left laying on the ground, and Quando hopped out, loaded him back into the vehicle, and they drove away, making it about a mile down the road before pulling over and flagging down police officers in order to get medical attention for Pab. And that's where we heard this gut-twisting scream that went viral from Quando Rondo.
Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
50 minutes after fleeing the scene of the crime at an In-N-Out food chain, surveillance footage would show Vonnie, Didi, and Flocka arriving to the restaurant and getting out of the white BMW, while Brown Eyes and the man that they call co-conspirator 2 in his paperwork showed up in a black SUV. The Infiniti the shooter hopped out of was noticeably not one of the cars that these people pulled up in, and Boogie wasn't present at the In-N-Out either, as he was probably getting rid of the Infiniti that was used to do this hit. It was here at this In-N-Out that the co-conspirators allegedly discussed, among other things, payments to the defendants, Brown Eyes and Flocka, the 2 people who weren't affiliated with OTF but were recruited for this, for the shooting that took place earlier that day. Before the night ended, using the OTF company credit card again, co-conspirator 3 purchased airline tickets going from San Diego back to Chicago for Didi, Flocka, Brown Eyes, Boogie, and co-conspirator number 2. And then they were driven to the airport where they flew back. When it was all said and done, OTF Didi allegedly paid an unspecified amount of money to the 2 non-OTF members for their roles in the plot. When the police started executing search warrants and arresting all of the people involved with this, Durk made a solid effort to throw them off of his trail. He pretty much wanted to evade capture, and he attempted to do this by booking multiple international flights after he heard that the feds were arresting all of the other co-conspirators. Shortly after making these arrests, the FBI received notifications from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection showing that Durk had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights, a one-way flight from Miami to Dubai and a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland. Both of these flights were booked on the evening of October 24th. Now, Durk didn't board either one of these flights and likely only purchased the tickets as decoys for the feds, as he probably never intended to board either flight. He just wanted them to not know which one he was going to be on, increasing his chances of getting away. At approximately 6:40 that night, the FBI received an additional notification that said that Durk had been booked as a passenger on a private plane that was departing Miami and was destined for Italy, and it was scheduled to depart at approximately 9 o'clock that night. This is the flight that he was actually going to be on, and while he had thought that the other 2 would serve as a proper distraction to the feds, they were aware of his last-minute private jet flight, and at 8 p.m. that night, only 2 hours after he purchased the tickets, Durk was arrested while trying to board the jet and flee the country, marking the end of this chase. This is pretty much all of the information in the indictment, but it leaves a lot of questions like, how much were they paid? Is there a record of the transaction? Who are the unnamed co-conspirators and why are they not named like the others were? Is it because they haven't been arrested yet, so they didn't want to release their names, or because they cooperated? Which could be the case, because how else would they know what was discussed at that In-N-Out burger when everybody was there if someone wasn't talking or cooperating? These are all of the details that we likely won't find out until the case is concluded, which could take years or just a couple of weeks. Either way, back when all of this happened, people had their suspicions about Durk being involved just based off of the history between the OTF crew and Quando Rondo's crew. And people noticed that after Pab died, OTF seemed to be online celebrating, with numerous OTF members making posts with pictures of Vaughn, and some saying that there ain't no time frame on the get back and that it should have been Quando Rondo instead of Pab. Now, the loss of Pab hurt Quando Rondo, who has publicly had a hard time coping with the loss of his cousin that day, with him dropping songs about it and shouting him out every chance that he gets.
That hurt my heart, I watched my partner die right by a gas pump. Look to the sky, shooting star, think that I'm the last one. Sure they ride or die, know that all my niggas is. The only reason that I screamed, I know I seen my nigga dead.
He even attended the funeral and was seen carrying the casket, despite putting up a post saying that he definitely was not going to attend the funeral because he already knew where him and Pab stood with each other. Perhaps this was to throw anybody off who was still looking to get any kind of revenge on Quando Rondo, and he didn't want them to try to do that at the funeral. Who knows? But you can tell that this really hurt Quando, because he got Pab tattooed on his side and said in an interview that it's all he ever thinks about, even saying that he's come to the conclusion that if he ends up having to do something so terrible behind this, that it means that he would go to hell, he would do it if it meant retribution for Pab.
A lot of niggas say like this, but they don't be meaning it and they don't be saying it. Man, too much blood spilling. Too much.
You think the LA situation changed you? Happened in LA?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that changed me, boy. I ain't even gonna lie. That changed me enough to tell myself I agree to go to hell. If I gotta do this and that and it's gonna send me to hell, alright, cool. I'm cool with burning for eternity. That's how much that changed me. Man, but that LA scarred me the most. It scarred me the most. The situation, and you know, that was my man's. I love that. Look, boy, you know it's serious. Now, that nigga, boy, pop, if I go to sleep, pop on the mirror in my bed. That's the last, in my line. That's the last thing I see. That's all I think about.
But there could be more to this story. Like, how did Durk know that Quando Rondo was going to be in LA in the first place? And how did he know what hotel he was going to be at when they initially went to try to follow him? Well, this question has led a lot of people to investigating, and it seems that while only Durk and 5 other people are being charged with this crime, there may have been more people involved with it. People who may have dropped Quando Rondo's location. This is because Quando didn't only have problems with people from Chicago, but he also had problems with people from LA. For example, after Pab was hit, we seen gang members from LA making posts saying that this wasn't Lil Durk's work when referring to what happened to Pab. This is because Quando notoriously repped Rollin' 60s, which is a Crip set out of LA, and according to folks in LA, he didn't want to tap in with the OGs in the gang that are from LA. They expected him to check in when he came to the city since they all rep the same thing, but Quando never did, at least not until after Pab died. Once that happened, Quando Rondo reached out to several members of the 60s in LA, like Big U, but they felt like it was too little, too late.
Well, you know what it is now, and just going a little bit on what Bimmy said and what you were just saying, is that the youngsters get out and then they have to have an experience before they realize I should have checked in. You know what I mean? Or I should have called, or I should have been moving a certain way. And so they get out, and they might be under your banner, but then they not respecting the banner. They ain't calling you. They got your number. They know who you is, but they feel like they bigger than the program. You know, and you got a lot of dudes, like when I was here last time, that claim my neighborhood that's in this music, but they don't really with us until it's a problem. Then they call them. Like Quando Rondo. I just showed Envy. Like, you can't call me now. You can't call me when the fire hot. You didn't with me before that. Had my number, you could have called me, you could have did all that. But he was around about, but how is that fair to me? How is that fair to our team?
Pretty strong words considering who is saying this and why he's saying it, but Big U wasn't the only one with this opinion on Quando Rondo. Another 60s member, Brick Baby, echoed that sentiment during a No Jumper interview where he not only claimed that it was too late for Quando to start trying to check in, but also denouncing his supposed ties to the gang by flat out saying that Quando was not a part of the 60s.
Don't come to the 60s and want to provide now that broke them on your. You get what I'm saying? Like we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
At all. We not doing none of that.
Well, that's gotta be weird for you because you with Durk so much.
It ain't weird for me.
Yeah.
It ain't weird for me at all. You're not from Rolling 60s.
Oh, really?
You're not from LA Rolling 60s. You're not from Rolling 60s.
Right.
Brick Baby is somebody who is also tied in with Durk and OTF, with him featuring on multiple songs with some of the artists from OTF. And at one point in time, people even thought that he might have signed with OTF because of how close him, Durk, and OTF were becoming. So with people knowing the history between Quando and Durk, and then seeing the 60s not having Quando's back, it led to a lot of speculation about, did the 60s in LA have something to do with it because they didn't like Quando Rondo representing their set but not checking in when he was in the city. And in the subsequent interviews that Brick Baby gave, he all but confirmed that they were upset because Quando felt like he didn't need to tap in.
Well, you've been going viral. There's been a clip of you that's been making its way. You saying that Quando Rondo isn't from the 60s.
So I never said Quando Rondo isn't from Rolling 60s. And I ain't taking nothing back. But the thing is, I'm saying that you not from my 60s. You wasn't from my 60s. I don't know you. The people around me don't know you like that enough to get into a war for you. You get what I'm saying? Like, you want us to go to bat for you, but at the same time, you ain't, you know what I'm saying? You don't spread your wings. Well, when you did that motion, it wasn't like you was putting people in position from our section. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? That's what divided right there. Afterwards, you came around trying to do it. So I was just shining the light on that.
How does all that, like, you know, if a dude's checking in or tapping in, does it help secure his safety?
It depends on, yeah, it does, because you know how to move around the city. You know what I'm saying? We not just like, hey, check in and you gonna be safe. It's like, when we say check in, it's like you in the city. Like, when we in your city, we pulling up on you. When you come to the city, pull up on us, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you represent the same that we represent. So it gives you a blanket of security because a motherfucker that know us in the city won't try you.
With clips like that and the one of Big U going viral, people started speculating that maybe the 60s did have something to do with it. And we started to see rumors pop up that Brick Baby might be the person who dropped Quando Rondo's location to OTF due to their affiliation with each other. Brick Baby wasn't feeling the speculation, so he went online to try to clear the air and his name by saying this.
Stop playing with a name, cuz. Stop playing with my name, point blank period. On 6-0 Crip, die every day. Don't got nothing to do with me. On 6-0, you internet ass, steady putting stories together. You on the street, no, I don't got nothing to do with it, bitch ass. Stop calling my phone, talking about, oh, hey, you know, man, on 6-0, man. On Hood, them boys got hot. On 6-0, ain't none of my crashing out Beverly Hills in broad daylight.
wrong with you?
It's a strong denial that effectively took the attention away from Brick Baby for a little while at the time. But almost a year ago, long before Durk was arrested or implicated in the hit of Lil Pab by court documents, Brick Baby would actually be the first person to reveal to the world that Durk may have been involved. During a No Jumper podcast with Poetic Flacco, Brick Baby said that people couldn't tell Durk to slide for Von no more. And when Poetic Flacco asked him why, he said, because of what happened to Pab.
Oh, they did something. Oh, slide for him. Oh, you a bitch. Oh, yeah.
Slide for Von, right? Yeah.
They say you can't say that no more.
Why? Oh, yeah, because of... Wait, no. Like,
They
who died?
say you can't say that no more.
Oh, because of FBG Cash? Or who?
Nah, because Lil Pab.
Oh. What's that?
But I'm just saying, they just say you can't say that no more. That's the new term, like no more slide for Von.
He went on to tell Flacco in this interview that that's what happens when you don't check in LA, when you ain't doing the right thing. And he also says that this is also why you don't beef with people with money, because they will put a bag on your head.
You should have been doing the right thing from off the rip. That's what they say. The bed, you gonna lay in the bed that you make. That's just a perfect example. Like, hey, if you would have handled your connections or your people, whatever you had, the right way before this jumped off, that nigga just signed the deal for like 20, 30 million, Durk, right?
Yes.
That nigga got too much money, man. You get what I'm saying? Like, listen, man.
Don't beef with rich people.
Don't beef with rich people, man, unless you're gonna slide. And you don't need to say nothing out loud. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, point blank period. You're gonna put that bagger thing on your head.
This situation with Pab led to Quando Rondo wanting to give up the life of banging, and he said in a post on IG that he was no longer affiliated with any gang anymore, and that he was officially laying his flag down. Something that he's pretty much stood on ever since, saying it repeatedly in interviews and even in songs.
Last year, you was in a shooting in LA, and you let the world know you dropped your flag. Is that something, do you still feel that way? Is that something that you still stand on?
Man, I'm about to be 24 in the next 2 weeks, man. I want to live a long life out here. I don't want to be buying bars for nothing. I don't want to be on... Like, just saying, like, man, there's so many indictments with this and that and this and that. I want to build houses.
RP Paul, my really died for the guap. RP Ralph, he died a couple streets down from the block. Niggas round beefing about the color of a bandana. That's why I put my flag down and I picked up a Quran.
Quando was clearly hurt by the loss to the point that he was willing to renounce all ties to his gangs over it, a gang that it seemed was taking the other side's side. And this entire situation does get a little bit deeper, because while Quando was denouncing his ties to the streets and Brick Baby was telling the world that Durk was responsible, the feds were doing their own investigation. And according to WAC 100, they may have gotten a big break in this investigation when they arrested Brick Baby on gun charges a while back. According to WAC, when Brick Baby was arrested, they seized his phone, and WAC thinks that this is where they got whatever evidence they needed that leaded or pointed them towards Lil Durk and his crew.
Right? So he gives this thing identifying OTF in February, first one in the world. And then when they come in this house in June, they let them know they've been on them since March, but we think it's an AK-47 case, right? Come to find out, when we applied pressure last night on Act Show, he wakes up this morning in a panic. He goes on there and starts running his mouth. Yeah, the feds came in, they took my cell phone, still haven't given it back, right? If you go in there and look at that report, number 4 is a local guy that was dropping Quando's locations. Oh. Slow down. Number 4 is a local guy that was dropping Quando's locations. Now, after the murder, when Quando went back to Georgia, what did he immediately do?
Dropped his flag?
There it goes. What was he claiming?
Roll 60 script.
Where Brick Baby from?
Roll 60 script.
What you think the police told Quando?
That the Roll 60s set him up.
Who you think he checked in with?
Roll 60s.
With who?
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Now, normally I don't take Wack 100 at his word, but I can't lie. He's making a solid point with that argument, and it makes a lot of sense. Plus, the very next day, Brick and Wack actually talked on the phone on Academic Stream, and Wack said the exact same thing to Brick Baby live on the air, and Brick did in fact admit that the feds seized his phone.
We went over the indictment, and you gave some compelling reasons why you said it appears that, number one, Brick brought some information to the internet that nobody knew, and how would he know that? And based on the description of what a co-conspirator for is, it seems to be him. Now, Brick response is that, how could he give the drop on somebody? He claims he was like in Atlanta or something like that.
It's crazy. I went up there with Mr. North Dakota and said some crazy shit. Why? I think he knows that was some crazy shit. Right? So, I don't know. This is all crazy. And I think because of that internet, they jumped on his line and they wanted his phone. And they went after his ass behind that phone. You know.
He just said
right. Wait, hold on. Wait, Brick.
No, it's not.
Wait, Brick.
I'm saying we had this conversation earlier.
Wait, Brick. I know you have a open case, and trust me, you don't have to talk about it if it's information that's sensitive. But why keep saying that you got your phone seized, that they were after your phone? That kind of makes sense if you were co-conspirator for, but you say you're not. Did they raid your house just to take your phone?
Nah, bro.
Oh,
Brick, we just had this conversation.
Hey, listen, what I'm trying to tell you, on there, any time that they're trying to get in your business, they're gonna keep your phone. Since cell phones been out, anytime I went to jail, my phone been on evidence.
Brick, what did the search warrant say?
My phone. I've never not.
What did the search warrant say?
They didn't take my phone.
Brick, what did the search? We just 3 hours ago
I
went
just
over
said that the search warrant said social media,
cell phone. There we go. There you go. So act like I said. Within them coming to look for that, they stumbled across some other.
Well, obviously,
bro.
And it got worse for Brick after this, because during a live stream on his own YouTube channel, Brick was asked if he dropped Quando Rondo's location to OTF, and he didn't deny it. Instead, he just said that if he did, and the feds found out because of whatever was on his phone, that it didn't qualify as telling because he didn't voluntarily give up his phone.
And everybody trying to say that you dropped the low on Pob and Quando to Durk. That's what they were saying on the Academic Stream, or people were alluding that you had dropped.
That ain't tell it.
But it may not matter if Brick Baby's phone led to Durk anyways, because after his arrest, we started seeing articles like this one going viral online, claiming that somebody from inside OTF was an informant and had been wearing a wire for quote unquote several years, secretly recording conversations between OTF members. And the person who people started pointing the finger at was this guy named OTF Jam. Now, OTF Jam had been incarcerated for pretty much the last 12 years for gun charges up until 2022, when he was released and started hanging around his people again. Almost as soon as he got out, he started giving interviews and dropping music and building his name up by claiming to be a solid guy.
Shit, you just came home not too long ago, like when you come home.
So I've been home a little bit over a year.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit over a year.
Yeah.
12 years flat.
12 years.
Like 12 years. Did my time. Ain't told on nobody.
Right.
Ain't no food on my name. Now I'm back. I'm living a life I never thought I'd live. You know?
Well, after these articles came out and Durk's arrest, we started to see people claiming that OTF Jam was the one that was wearing a wire. People like King Yella.
Lil Durk been picked up by the feds. I don't know if he been charged with nothing. Probably questioning it, putting OTF in a lot of things. But I heard somebody named OTF Jam, they said they been calling him a rat. And basically he said, okay, I'm a rat. Well, watch this. Watch this. That all this information that I know. Rat this, I'm gonna tell this, I'm gonna tell that. My video earlier, I told y'all, man, if somebody say Durk name, that's all it's gonna take to say that man's name.
There was even a picture posted online showing OTF Jam in what looks like an interrogation room with bags of McDonald's around him as he stares at the camera. However, after looking deeper into it, this image is fake and it's a photo that somebody just took and photoshopped Jam's head onto. And OTF Jam actually came out and addressed these allegations by saying the truth gonna come out, and of what you think you know, I'm solid. If you know, you know. And to me, it seems that most blogs online just refuse to do any real research to verify these claims. People like Poetic Flacco were making posts online saying that OTF Jam's mama was killed because Durk found out he was wearing a wire. And if it's one thing that these blogs ain't gonna do, it's double back and clear up mistakes. For them, Jam is worth more as a snitch than not as a snitch. So they just keep running with the narrative that it's him, but I'm not about to sit over here on the internet and put that jacket on that dude when after reading every single page of the indictment, nowhere in it is it mentioned that somebody wore a wire or had recordings. Not a single time. This is just a narrative that people were running with for pretty much no reason. Jam's name isn't even in the indictment, at least not officially. Now, I will say there are a couple of unnamed co-conspirators, and I guess he could be one of them unnamed co-conspirators. But as of right now, there is no solid evidence that Jam wore a wire or told on anybody, and people just seem to be running with that narrative because it's a hot narrative to run with. But whether he wore a wire or not doesn't matter, because what he did do was rap about street things, and some of the lyrics that he dropped in his songs are interesting, like in this song where he raps,
Merc is the voice. You heard what he said, some bullets behind him, we ain't finna tussle. Laverne sitting in that chair with 100 shot on him, y'all know why we call him the muscle. Diddy a threat, ain't got no patience, wherever he catch you, that's where he gon' shoot it. Booney Mo say he ain't killing no more cause he rich and he paying, I shorty to do it. Duty be chillin', but really the biggest problem with money is on your medulla. He get the loan and that pay for a hit and he hop in the car with the shooter. Yeah, I'm a shooter, I stay with a glitz. Somebody down whenever I use it. Only be rapping to kill me a rapper, so phone up my house and put in their music.
Now, in case you weren't listening, this man is basically on the record telling everybody what position each person plays in OTF. I can't lie. This is wild stuff, especially considering some of the people that he's naming in these lyrics are people that are directly involved with this case. But it's not like he was doing something that Durk wasn't also doing himself. When it comes to self-incrimination, these guys are top tier because Durk had his own song called Uber Tags or Beverly Hills. I've seen it posted under both names, where he seemingly talks about doing a hit in Beverly Hills, which is exactly where Pop was hit.
Popping traffic, we in Cali, rap through Beverly Hills with choppers. I'm not hiding, bro, them know we crashing down to see the oppas. He was a passenger, did jump seats to travel, crack can't get us off.
And this is just one example. In another example, he sampled Quando Rondo screaming no from the video of when Pap died, and he used it as an ad-lib for lyrics that, I mean, are clearly talking about Quando Rondo.
Yo, homie, dad, you judge in front of that fat, think you a lifesaver. Y'all left from broke down when your broke dad turned to a crybaby.
So snitch or no snitch, with all of the evidence laid out in the court documents and several unnamed co-conspirators, lyrics like the ones that we just heard, and possibly wiretap recordings, it doesn't look very good for Durk right now. He has entered a not guilty plea at this point, and due to him trying to flee the country, he was denied any type of pretrial bond. And I want to make clear that Durk is facing serious charges and consequences behind this entire ordeal. Josh Sanford, who runs the YouTube channel America's Attorney and is a good friend of this channel, shout out to Josh, he did a breakdown of this indictment when it came out. And in his video, he reads the law for what Durk is being charged with. And it's clearly printed in the law that if death resulted from the charge that he's being charged with, he could face the death penalty.
The federal law that Durk has been charged with violating is 18 U.S.C. 1958A. Here's what the law says. Whoever travels in or causes another, including the intended victim, to travel in interstate or foreign commerce, or uses or causes another, including the intended victim, to use the mail or any facility of interstate or foreign commerce with the intent that a murder be committed in violation of the law of any state or the United States, as consideration for the receipt of, or as consideration for a promise or agreement to pay anything of pecuniary value, or who conspires to do so, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 10 years or both, and if personal injury results, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both, and if death results, shall be punished by death or by life imprisonment, or shall be fined not more than $250,000 or both. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Since planes travel in interstate commerce and since credit card transactions move in interstate commerce, you can see how the feds intend to tie this inherently state law violation, because murder is always a violation of state law, to the interstate commerce system that connects the states to each other. The application of this law to Lil Durk would not require that he pull the trigger or even that he be present for the murder. Really, he doesn't have to do much to be involved as long as he's connected to the interstate travel or interstate commerce of the project.
Now, Josh also goes over different defenses that Durk can use to try to create separation between him and the crime. And if y'all are interested in that, be sure to go check out Josh's channel. Again, it's America's Attorney. But as of right now, we're going to have to wait and see what the outcome will be. These are federal charges that he's facing, so it won't be broadcast like the Thug trial and the Melly trial. And we won't really know what all goes down in that courtroom until it's all over. But if convicted, it looks like Durk actually slid for Vine. And because of that, it's going to cost him everything.